Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Marriage is Tougher Than Woodpecker Lips podcast. This is Brian, joined by my co-host, Paul. We'd like to welcome you to a community meant for the men of the world to share their thoughts and perspectives on marriage. We can learn from each other's experiences and help each other be better husbands. This week on the pod, we want to talk to you about what does respect look like in your marriage?
Before we hop all the way in, we'd just like to welcome you to the pod. If this is your first time, thanks for checking us out. If you've been rocking with us for a while, we appreciate it. If you'd like to go deeper in this conversation, you can reach out on any social media platform searching Marriage is Tougher. Hit us a DM and we can respond and have a conversation there. You can also go to marriagestougher.com if you'd like to be a guest, or if you have a contact. If you can fill out the contact form if you'd like to contact us. If you'd like to be a guest, just fill out that form. Let us know your name, what you'd like to talk about, and we'll think about how we can get you onto the show. We really appreciate you. And if you get any value from this, please like, share, subscribe, just so you can stay up to breast on every time we have a new episode, and you can send it out to someone that may get value out of this. All right, let's hop into this episode.
All right. So in our pre-conversation, had this revelation that in spaces, lack of reciprocity feels to me like disrespect or a lack of respect. And I think that's maybe a good place to start our conversation about what respect looks like. Because I'm also thinking about, is that the same for everyone? Would every husband think that to themselves, that lack of reciprocity does not feel like respect to me? Or is that uniquely my space? We have different needs, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking about the book, The 5 Love Languages, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is there different ways? My brain just took this rabbit hole. Like, I wonder if there are different, like, respect languages, for lack of a better word, or just go with the same analogy.
Fair.
Because there's certain like different apology languages, right? Like some people just need to hear I'm sorry and they're good. Some people need to hear the plan for that not to happen again, and then they feel better, right? So there's different levels of kind of different spaces of dealing with people. And I've never thought about it in the realm of respect until we were having that conversation, because I was saying I never thought of it that way, but it makes sense. And I can relate to that. If someone doesn't see the value of what you're doing to reciprocate, then it can feel disrespectful.
Yeah. I want to pull an old school move here and look up the definition of respect. What I have here are two definitions: a feeling of deep admiration for someone, or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. 2, due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of others. I feel like that second one is what is leaving my desire to feel respected through reciprocity.
Absolutely. The second one makes sense. And I never would have, not never, I don't think I've thought of it in that way. Like, it makes sense tangibly as far as like the feeling of it, but to put actual words to what that feeling is good. It's good to have words around that. Man.
Yeah. I think it's hard to backtrack now. What what words would you have put around respect before we looked up the definition?
Oh, that's good. Um, I think it is hard to backtrack, but it's almost you can't use the same word in the definition, right? So that's what I'm
I
trying
mean,
to
you may have though. So
figure out how to.
I
It's
think
how.
the point I'm getting to is it. I think we wrap it up in how we feel,
Hmm.
right? And be careful here not to say that that's not real, but for the two of us who are very into definitions, right? It seems like I may not have, or well, I for sure wouldn't have put those same words around it. And well, I guess where I'm getting is there validity to me saying at times I don't feel respected for lack of reciprocity if it's more a feeling than definition? Does that make sense?
It does. That's one of those things where it's like you just know when there's respect in the building. So that's the hardest part to make it tangible. That's what I'm saying. Like that definition makes sense. But at the same time, I don't know if I could have put it into words because it's just a known quantity or quality, right? Like, oh, like I feel respected in this space, or I'm giving this person respect, or I respect this person, or you know what I mean? It's just,
Hmm.
but what does that mean? It is that admiration. That one is probably easier, right? The admiration or the abilities. But I think the part of that definition that I get, it's the qualities. I think that's the part that reaches both the feeling and kind of that admiration, the part of someone that you see
Hmm.
when you're thinking about the non-reciprocity, right? Because do you not see these qualities in me that you would honor me in this space, right? So,
Ooh. Okay. So does that honor look like reciprocity? Is
mm,
that the desire there? Do you need to feel respected by reflection?
well, if you need to, and it's someone close to you, have you even expressed that for them to understand, right?
Okay.
Like, if 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 I have a relationship with my son and I feel like he's disrespecting me, um, I know that that's not his heart to do that. But if he doesn't, if I know that I can feel respect in a certain way and I don't let him know, should I hold him hostage to failing at that when I've never told him a way I feel respected is this?
Yeah.
Does that make that's what I'm trying to say? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Right. So my issue with this is, and I just looked up the definition of disrespect, which is very much what I expected it to be. It's lack of respect or courtesy, uh, showing a lack of respect um, for like insult.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, reading the definition of respect, the opposite of that, if someone does not respect me, does not admire me, doesn't necessarily have to be negative.
Yeah, it just is.
If I haven't built the type of relation to
Mm-hmm.
earn that respect, or I'm not close enough for that person to have felt the need to respect me, that doesn't necessarily have to be negative. Disrespect, and maybe that's where I'm more landing in my feelings, is I'm feeling disrespected, not a lack of respect.
So disrespect and lack of respect are not the same thing.
Correct. Although
Yes.
the definition would tell you that they are, because the first definition does literally say lack of respect or courtesy. My thing is, let's say my wife lacks respect for me in a certain area, right? Um, she does not admire an attribute about me. So what? Does she have to? But if she disrespects me in a certain area, not lack of respect, but insultingly disrespects me in a certain area, that's the piece that hurts.
So an absence of respect is not necessarily disrespect. But if you were to go out of your way to either point it out or go against that area, that would be disrespect.
That's how it feels to me. Yeah.
Gotcha. I can land with that for definitely for the sake of this conversation.
Right. Right.
So we're all on the same page there. But that makes it like everything so nuanced.
I mean, I think that's probably always where we were going, right? Because I mean, we started with the conversation, it's like, is it the same for everybody, right? So it immediately has nuance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it begs the question, is there a need for respect? I think that respect feels nice, right? I think that as a man, I desire to be respected. Um, does that mean I always deserve respect?
Um, it depends, right,
Right.
on how you
Right.
believe. What do you believe in um, the fundamentality, if that's a word, of human beings, right?
Mhm.
So if you believe that everyone should be respected, then yes. But if you believe that everyone has to earn your respect, then no. And also, if you feel like there are certain areas that might not be admirable, then maybe you're not respected in those areas, but you may be respected in, right? You may be respected as a speaker, but not as a chef, right? You might not be able
Right.
to boil water, but you can, pontificate on any topic at any moment, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of times, if you have respect in one area, that carries over almost holistically, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, I think a lot of people can find an area that they respect in someone enough to give them the level of general respect that I feel like every person should have. But at the same time, if you have an intimate relationship with someone, if I go back like to my son, right? If I'm just being a jerk all the time when it comes to, I don't know, his finances per se. And I'm just always on him about doing something, doing something, doing something. In that space, I might lose respect from him.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, as his dad and as someone who's provided for him and as someone who's, built him up in the area of, let's say, his marriage, right? So there could be two different areas where he's like, man, like, mm, he's not it there, but he's it there. And how do we navigate our conversations in those spaces?
Yeah. All right. So what I'm putting together from your words is how I'm interpreting all of this right now. There's basically two buckets, right? And it falls in line with the definitions. First one that I'd want to speak on is the second definition: due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of others. That seems more in the bucket of given, not earned. And then the
Mm-hmm.
second, which is the first definition, a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements, is earned. So both and.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking directly to relationship, since this is a marriage podcast, I think I need to, for myself anyway, better delineate those two definitions, right? I may be feeling lack of respect for my feelings, but trying to equate it to disrespect equal to lack of admiration,
Mm.
right? So I guess what I'm getting at is an event of lack of respect, and I feel like I'm just circling back here, doesn't necessarily equal disrespect. But if in my mind I haven't delineated that, I may be feeling, for lack of better words, way too hurt for something that
Mm-hmm.
didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
Not to say that lack of respect for my feelings is not important. It very much is. But if I don't have the understanding that I'm not being disrespected, there is just an issue of lack of respect. The way to tackle those problems are different, right? So I might,
Absolutely.
because what I'm seeing is, right, like if I'm huffing and puffing around the house feeling disrespected, but that's not what actually happened, my wife's never going to understand how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think no matter the words I try to use to make her understand, we're never going to get on the same page because what I have interpreted is not what happened. If I'm feeling a lack of respect, I then need to express to her, or even maybe ask the question, like, what is it that made you say that? Or, what is it? What's behind how I'm feeling you're treating me right now? And then offer that space for her to explain or, defend or whatever the case may be. I think what my history has been is I just get angry in my interpretation of disrespect. And then my tendency has been to shut down.
Yeah, that's a normal, or that's a common occurrence, I'll say. Now, having done this thought exercise, it's really wild that in essence they are the same, but they are distinct.
Mm-hmm.
So it's us having to figure out or do the work to know which one is which, and then how to move forward as we process our feelings. Because if we're talking about marriage, right, there are certain areas that we need to grow in that may not, well, I'll say for me, there are areas that I need to grow in that may not have earned the title of respected areas about me, right?
Right.
So for me to assume that I should be respected in that area is arrogant,
Mm.
right? So, but also for me to assume that if I'm called out by my wife in that area where I need growth, to assume that that disrespects me as a whole person is also incongruent with who she thinks of me as.
That's a good point.
Because right, because she sees me as a whole person, and calling out an area or affecting an area that I am that I need growth in, or I'm vulnerable in, or that I might not even know why it affects me this certain way, is not her disrespecting. It's kind of just exposing where I need growth.
Mm-hmm.
And now, granted, the approach, how she brings it, is a factor.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I need to realize that she holistically respects me as a man and as her husband. So I can't allow an insecurity in me or something that I may not even seen to overtake the conversation and place it as she's disrespecting me. Um, which is why the questions are good that you just
Yeah.
brought up. Like if you can ask those questions, she can start to answer, and you can start to see, oh, she's not disrespecting me. It's just this and this. Or her heart is not to disrespect me. It's just happening this way.
Okay.
So I think for me, I have to realize it's not an attack on me as a whole person. It's just this area is where we're at for the most part. Well, for
Right.
me, yes, but I can't speak that for everyone, right? Maybe your wife is just attacking you because she hates you as a person. I can't, I can't speak to that. That's not my experience. So that's why I brought it back to me and how easily it is to feel like, wow, she doesn't respect me. But it's really, she's just calling out something that is not respectable at this moment.
Okay. I I think I still struggle with it a little bit. Reason being is if I'm focused on my feelings not being respected, which is
Mm-hmm.
a new thing for me to say. Um, Even if I am aware that that's not the whole picture, right? It's not that she doesn't respect me as a man and husband and father and all those things, all the other attributes. It is just specifically my feelings that aren't being respected in a moment. Why is it so hard to get past that?
Because it's hurt.
Yeah.
That's the the easiest thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hurt. How fast have we built the muscle to get past hurt? And I'll say a
Mm,
lot of us have not, right? We don't
yeah.
have the practice of hurt because we haven't even admitted to ourselves that we are hurt a lot of times.
Right.
So if we haven't built up that muscle to move past it, it's going to take us a while. And we're going to wallow in our disrespect because that's how we feel. And it's true in that moment. That feeling is real. And how do we move past it? I think that's the part. Definitely feel that feeling of feeling disrespected, but it's how do we move on and have a conversation around it? Or how do we calm ourselves down even enough to have a conversation?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Before we can even have a conversation, how can we process through that quickly enough to stay engaged? Otherwise, we're going to shut down. And if we're not in a healthy place, it might be better to shut down for a time so that we
Hmm.
can gather ourselves, get together, and have a conversation where we are now not spewing disrespect to our wives. So the how, I don't know. I don't know how to get that quickly is
Yeah.
practice, but practice only comes by situations.
Yeah. I think it's like you said, it's developing the tools. For me, being in a healthier place now where I might still lack some words, but can better process in the moment. I think it would look more like I'm feeling like you're not respecting my feelings at this moment. Can you can you tell me why that is or where that's coming from or if that's even your intent? Do you know that that's what you how you're making me feel right now? I think that's a good start to that conversation.
Yeah, that's definitely a good start, right? I feel that was a good way to say that. And how do we ask now hearing that, was that your intentions? Like now hearing
Hmm.
how I feel, was that your intentions? Or that's how I'm hearing it. Is there a way that you can say that differently? So maybe I can hear it differently.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the vulnerability piece, right? Like, I think if you can, in the moment, set aside feeling triggered about something and express to your wife, hey, I'm I'm not necessarily sure why, or maybe you do know why, but I'm feeling triggered at the moment by your words. I don't know if it's I misinterpreted what you said or if it's, you know, uh, hopefully not. It was your intention to make me feel hurt in this moment, but this is how I'm feeling. Is, like you said, is there a different way for you to say that? Knowing how your words affected me, is there a different way for you to say that to redirect this conversation? I like that a lot, which is going to be really, really, really hard to do if you're feeling
And
hurt in
it's
a
it's
moment.
it's hard to do that right now without being in the situation of being hurt. It's hard to
Yeah.
articulate that. So now
Yeah.
add the feeling of feeling hurt or disrespected. That's going to be hard to say. So maybe a way to do that is practice what you would say, even if it's just rehearsing it to yourself, like not just in your mind, but saying it out loud so that you can hear how it sounds to yourself. And if that's how you would want to communicate it. And this is in a neutral court, neutral site. So
Right.
when things might get escalated, you might feel hurt, you at least kind of have some form of how you'd want to redirect it in a respectful, kind way.
Hmm. Yeah. And all in all, what that sounds like is reciprocity of respect by being healthy enough and mindful enough to care for your wife's feelings by asking the questions in the right manner, in the right tone, being level headed, being open minded, and accepting that there are two perspectives here.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, this is a good conversation. It was all over the place in meaning there were some things that I didn't think about that were brought up, or ideas or thoughts. So that's good. Do you have anything else to say before we?
No, just that I needed that conversation. So thank you.
Well, we needed this. And if you needed this conversation uh, and would like to go even deeper, just search Marriage is Tougher on any social media platform and hit us up on our DMs. Let us know how this conversation affected you. And if you'd like to go even deeper, we can have more of a conversation there. If you'd like to be a guest, go to marriageistougher.com, hit the contact form and fill that out, and we'll figure out a way to get you on this show and what topic to talk about. We truly appreciate you listening and engaging with us. We're just here to win in marriage and help anyone through our experiences and our conversations grow in their marriage. So until next time, we will chat later.
Peace.